Okay, so sorry, my network was messing up. So yeah, so this is one of the research tools, C-Space. So beyond just using it to source for a journal, you can also use it to have an idea of the topic you want to write about. And like I said, that the revised edition, which is the the proper uh, approach to getting your to starting with research project or research thesis, as the case may be, is by first of all identifying research gap. However, it doesn't mean the first approach we use isn't correct. It's correct, it's good, you can equally proceed with it. But in the face of some other rigorous research procedure or doings, you first of all need to carry out research gap to do a study to identify the research gap. So now this C-Space is a very good tool, when it comes to literature review, identifying relevant studies and all and what have you. So starting with it, I have you click on new chat. If you have to source for journal, you click on literature review. But for this, you click on new chat. I already copied the chat, this thing here. So but let's quickly look at something. So because that's one of the things you can use to learn. Whenever you are working with, you're faced with anything, be curious enough to ask, to tweak, to critically think about what is and what not and what it could be. So now this is simply what I simply want to do. I search studies on strategic innovation advantage in modern organization. So here I did not include Nigeria, right? And it went and searched because this thing I've been upgraded is now operating like an agent also. So it searched through my library, didn't find any this thing, searched Zotero. I didn't find my Zotero because I have Zotero. I don't know. So then combine and re-rank results. So it found 71 papers. In the 71 papers, Google Scholar has 20. So you can see now that even though you are not using Google Scholar, this one has it's also fetch this thing from Google Scholar. So C-Space itself has like 200 papers, then total unique papers is 71. So let's say it pick 50 from here, and it extracts answer from top 10 paper. So if I say click on get answer from 30, it's going to say I should pay. Let's we assume that we want to operate on free mode. So now it now went one of the things I observe is that the one of the some of those journals that I downloaded to work on the chapter one, which I did not download from C-Space, the journal was cited here. So which means the journal is a very highly cited journal. The journal was cited here. So after it has done all that it did, and I said, okay, identify the gap in all the supposed to be studies in plural form, but then have it this way in all the study. Then it went further and say, I'm going to analyze and collect the consistent gap. So then it now identify the gap. Now watch. It says current literature review several gaps regarding the practical implementation and long-term assessment of strategic innovation. Why study confirm a positive relationship between innovative? These are the studies that confirm it. Four studies, and they are quite recent. It now says many rely on specific geographic or industrial snapshots that limit the generalization of their findings, and that this exactly is also a gap in the study we are intending to do. Is That's one of the most consistent gap, so because many study, because and that also link us back to the limitation and scope and limitation, because most study, any research that will cover a wider geographical area must be highly funded research. So that is why you will find that so many research always acknowledge that limitation, and now is here. So is here again as a research gap, and identify research gaps and limitation, because and the limitation in one research is a gap to yet to be studied. So this is a gap because the study have not been covered in a wider geographical location, Africa, Asian continent at large. Let's even say Africa alone. Who has money to cover, such? And where you wonder, what are they covering? That is the data collection process, because now going about to gather data about how that their strategy, whether they have implemented strategic innovation, whether it has bring about a competitive advantage in their company. It will take a whole lot. You don't I mean, the time is not there, right? So they now further to say contextual limitation. Research is often confined to a single industry, such as mobile in Kenya or packaging in Thailand, or specific co-host like a young firm in Vietnam. So if you remember vividly, this young firm in Vietnam should ring bell. So that is where I identified that one of those journal is also cited here. And let's see who is the guy itself. 2023, obviously he is, because I saw the name in the reference. These studies frequently lack cross-industrial comparison. So there is no cross-industrial comparison. That is, maybe studying telecommunication industry, or manufacturing industry, or healthcare industry, and now so no study of such has been carried out. So it says then methodology constraint. Many students utilize cross-sectional survey, which fail to capture the longitudinal evolution of innovation strategies and their delay impact on failed performance. So conceptual gaps. Although the mediating roles of human capital and knowledge management are recognized, there is a lack of granular understanding regarding how specific leadership mindset or organizational culture interact with these variables over time. Now, it's saying that the studies have been centered on human capital knowledge management as a mediating role. So that means maybe a changes in human capital result to a changes in strategic innovation, then a spiral effect of competitive advantage, and likewise knowledge management. But little emphasis have been placed on leadership style, because the truth of the matter is strategic innovation also comes with leadership. If now from the wealth of my residual knowledge, a leadership that will most likely be transformed, that will most likely embrace strategic innovation, will be a transformational leadership style, or a transform leadership personality. So that particular leadership style is called transformational leadership style. So that is a leadership that welcome new idea, that is open to learning and development and all of that. So, but some certain leadership styles that are rigid in nature would not even want to embrace change, and innovation comes with change. So, it is saying that leadership mindset or organization culture, whether their culture is dynamic or bureaucratic, and all that. So, organizational cultures interact with this variable over time. So now this is where the problem is. This is a research gap, right? Further future direction. Now we can now use this to identify where the direction which our research should go. Dynamic of contextual factor. There is a stated need for details in investigation into how into how dynamic shifting contextual factors such as regulatory volatility, integration of human capital features should, refinement of strategic researchers are encouraged to develop and validate new assessment framework such as innovation assessment metrics to help firm measure and manage their creative capability more efficiently. So it's basically saying that okay, firms that have been uh, that are already innovative, there's no assessment to actually see how well their innovation, you know, has helped them to be more effective. And if we want to look at now, this is not lecture actually, so, but for the sake of trying to understand what we are trying to do here is to explore areas. Now, if we are to bring it into context of AI, we will say that AI can be a fuel for strategic innovation in an organization, and it can help them to increase their productivity. So, but there is need to assess, there is need to evaluate if the AI is actually bringing increase in productivity or is not, and they will have to just oppose that with their cost, because the AI also will increase their cost. Will it result to laying off more staff or employing more staffs so as to increase their production efficiency and all of that? So questions will begin to arise. So with that you cannot begin to tell, okay, let me now direct my study to this angle. You understand? So expanding longitudinal evidence. There is a call for more extensive longitudinal. So this longitudinal is basically saying wider geographical area should be covered. They said that can track how the integration of management across various macroeconomic conditions. So this one will require a much listing. So in many cases for educational research, you wouldn't have except maybe probably for PhD, but if it's not for PhD, for masters and graduate, time will not a whole lot of factors against you that wouldn't even permit you to go to now start doing a longitudinal research study for that matter. So if at all there is a next aspect that we can identify here that is still, we can say refinement of strategic model. So and that model will bring about certain element that will be used to embrace innovation, to evaluate it, and to monitor it. So then these are the themes that I regularly talked about in the project in the past studies. Dynamic capability, which is also a theory, human capital, systemic integration, sustainability, and all that. So that being said, okay, so that being said, we've already identified a research gap. So we can pick, let's say this. Yeah, let's say this. Let's say this. Yeah. So if we are to go further, another way to do it is you could not download, let's say, 30 journals. Remember here it says get answer from 30 papers. So which means there are much more papers that we are yet to uncover. So you cannot download 30 papers. So I mean somebody might be asking, is that 30 papers just for the purpose of research gap? No. The 30 paper will equally be useful in the process of writing your project, the process of writing your, especially empirical review. And you will also generate some other things from it, your conceptual review, your theoretical review. So, but because of time, we won't be able to uncover all of that. So we just want to pick this as a research gap. We are not doing integration of human capital. So then we are going to go to ChatGPT, and then we tell ChatGPT, I am carrying out a research objective and this research academy. Projects on the topic sustainable quantitative. Okay, so let's see now. I mean, so we'll see in another section. I'll put a stop to this now. We'll see in the next